This matter was then referred for a pre-sentence report, victim impact statement, and psych evaluation, and we're set for sentencing here today. Thank you.
Mr. Lalo.
Thank you, Your Honor. That is an accurate portrayal of the facts.
Go ahead.
Thank you. So, Your Honor, it's I understand Mr. Kelly, he's accepted full responsibility for this case. When the accident first happened, I know he actually reached out to me shortly thereafter, and he asked the police, essentially, listen, charge me, let's get moving on this. Like, he wanted to really bring this matter to a just conclusion because he knew what he did was wrong. And I know he's been living with that guilt for quite a while now. At some point, I know Connor has a few words to say, not only to this court, but to the victims that were involved in this matter. But I do want to stress to the court that despite this lapse in judgment from Connor, as a terrible decision he made to drive at that speed, to engage in the drag race or the racing with the other vehicle, and to cause that accident. He understands the gravity of that situation. It's my sincere belief that he's actually learning from that. I know he's taken remedial steps since then to help curb the, let's say, the desire to drive fast. He's installed a speed limiter on his vehicle to prevent him from traveling over 70 miles per hour. This way he can, he's forced not to travel at a higher rate of speed. But I think the more important part here really is the remorse for his actions. When we met in my office the last time, we were actually talking about the injuries that he caused to the others. And a couple things. One, he's lucky he didn't kill anybody, let alone himself. But the people that were involved and the injuries that were sustained as a result of that. I know he got tearful. I think it's really begun to hit him, and hit him hard, that his actions do have consequences, not only to other people, but for himself. And that's why he's here today. He's accepting full responsibility, and he's going to accept any consequence that this court hands down. And as it relates to the consequences, we ask this court to consider the fact that he doesn't have a felony record. He is a young man. He's got two loving parents, grandparents that are here, all to support him. I know they submitted letters of support on his behalf, but I think the character reference letters that this court has, I think the better ones to consider are those that aren't from his relatives. I know as a mother and father, you're going to have your unconditional support and love for your child no matter what, through thick and thin. But I think the better ones to consider are those that aren't related. And in those letters, they talk about his faith, how he lives his faith. He volunteers. He helps others. He is there for others when they need him. And he does it all without asking for anything in return. And he's been like that since a little kid and through this day today. You have letters from his employer. He's been a valuable employee since I think it was spring when he was hired at this one employer. And you know, they vouch for him, and they indicate, listen, he's been a great kid his whole life. And I think this court can also see that in addition to him being a great kid, he does have problems when making decisions. And there's no doubt about that. He's absolutely needs help with that. And I know he's getting psychological counseling and psychological help. He's got, we know he has ADHD. I don't know if there's anything else that's there. But I know from what I've seen of Connor, he really is a good young man who, again, he's what you see before you, on paper, is not the Connor that I've seen throughout the last few years. So we do ask that you consider the reference letters, consider what he does, what he's going to say to you in a few moments. Take a look at the pre-sentence report and investigation. You have the psych evaluation in there. And what we're asking for, Your Honor, is a community control sanction. We're asking for minimal to no local jail time. I think, if anything, putting him to work. He's able-bodied, and I think if you make him sweat labor, he might learn a little bit harder than just sitting in a jail cell all day. And I think that might help the community, and it might help him in a better fashion, so that we can help prevent, really help give him the appropriate tools that when he's facing a similar situation, he has no doubt what the right answer would be. So for those reasons, Your Honor, we are asking that a community control sanction be imposed, and that he have, again, minimal, if not no local jail time, but significant community service. It's my understanding restitution has been satisfied with with all the victims. And lastly, again, I'm going to turn the floor over to Mr. Kelly so he can say a few words. Thank you.
The defendant stands before the judge, trembling. His voice cracks as he apologizes to the victims, strangers whose lives he nearly destroyed. "I cannot fathom that I put your lives in harm's way," he says. "I could have killed innocent people for a foolish decision. In that moment, regret fills the courtroom, but for some, it's too late for forgiveness."
For the victims of this crash, I don't know where to begin when it comes to apologizing. I cannot fathom the fact that I put your lives in harm and danger. It's very hard for me to live with the thought that I could have killed innocent people and myself for such a stupid and arrogant decision. I'm so sorry for all the pain, suffering, stress, and continued trauma you've had to deal with in your life due to my senseless and foolish actions. I cannot imagine what you've been through and what severe impact this incident has had on your lives. Ever since this incident, I've been working to change myself as a person as I continue to reflect and repent on my actions. My ultimate hope is that you guys and your family can forgive me for my actions before I go through jail, probation, treatment programs, and any other sentences I may face. I wish you all the best and hope I may speak to you later down the road. Sincerely, Connor.
You're one horrific driver who apparently had some sort of alcohol-related driving offense in Grand River, March 5th of 23. Resulted in underage alcohol. Violated probation in November of 23, apparently related to alcohol, as you were put on a scram unit. March of 24, had a review hearing. That case, this is all in Painesville Municipal Court. Violation August 28th of 24. You got 5 days in jail and your probation was over. January 14th of 23, you had a driving under suspension in Willoughby Court. Why were you under suspension?
That was for my OVI, Your Honor.
What OBI?
The one pertaining to Painesville Municipal Court.
Well, that happened March 5th of 23. This driving under suspension was January 14th of 23.
Correct. I was still under suspension. It was a 2-year suspension.
Okay, well, then either the PSR is wrong or I'm not seeing something here, because I have an offense date for the underage alcohol in Painesville Muni of March 5th of 23. And I have a driving under suspension in Willoughby 2 months before that, month and a half before that, January 14th of 23. What am I missing here? Anybody know?
Try and look it up, Your Honor.
Did you have a valid license on August
Your Honor.
16th of 24? August 14th of 24?
During the incident,
Yeah.
I had license privileges at the time.
What privileges?
Just work, school, groceries, church. That's it.
Mr. Lalo, would you want to tell me?
Your Honor, it appears he had a suspension from Jog County Juvenile Court at the time of the Willoughby case.
Why were you driving when you were under suspension from Geauga?
My suspension from Geauga ended when I was 18.
Okay. Well, then why did you get charged and plead guilty on driving under suspension in Willoughby in January of 23?
I think you might be mistaken, Your Honor. It appears the suspension was 11/25/21 to 11/25/23.
Okay. So you were driving in Willoughby in January of '23 while you were under suspension. Why?
To be honest with you, I can't recall.
Okay. Well, you knew you shouldn't be driving in
Correct.
January of '23. You did it anyway.
Correct.
Okay. Why would you do that?
At the time, I might have thought I could get away with it, even though it was stupid. Maybe there was somewhere important that I needed to go and thought I could skim past the lines one time, but I can't recall why I did that certain day.
You've got a failure to control, Lake County Juvenile Court in January of '21, a driving under suspension in August of '22, that was under the Geauga suspension, right? You got a no operator's license in December of '22. So you don't seem too concerned about this whole licensure law stuff.
I'm very concerned about it.
When did you suddenly become concerned about it?
There's the no operator's license. I don't recall that. I've been concerned about it for a while, ever since this incident. I never drove until I reinstated my license. I was granted privileges, and before that, I never drove until my license was reinstated just a couple months ago.
Well, apparently you did, because you
Well,
kept...
yes, back in 22 and 23, at those times, you had reiterated yes. But recently, when you asked about my concern, within the past year, I haven't driven unless I've had a license.
Well, November 7th of last year, you got a driving under suspension in North Olmsted. Why is that?
I fought that in court. I was driving for work, as I had work privileges at the time, and that was supposed to get amended.
Who did you have driving privileges from?
Court,
What court?
Painesville Muni.
For what case?
Still my OVI suspension of 2 years that started in March of 23 and went.
Well,
And it ended in March of 25.
what time did this incident happen on August 14th of last year?
I think about 10:30, 11 o'clock at night. Are you talking about this accident?
Uh-huh.
Yes, Your Honor, about 10:30, 11 o'clock at night.
Okay. Were you driving with driving privileges then?
Yes, sir.
For what? What purpose?
I was on the way home. I just picked up food late.
What did your driving privileges entail?
It was home, church, work. That's it.
And you were getting food,
Yes,
so you were outside of your privileges.
correct.
Okay. So why were you doing that?
The judge's patience begins to fade. You've made a whole bunch of idiotic decisions, he says, staring directly at the young man. The courtroom goes silent as the judge continues. You do what you want, when you want. That's how selfish people live. His words cut deeper than any sentence could.
You appear to be a very selfish person who does what he wants to do, when he wants to do it. That's how you appear to me.
Okay.
Well, okay, if that's okay with you, I guess that's okay. I mean,
That's not okay
if
with
I
me.
were you, I wouldn't be okay with it.
I'm not okay with it. I'm not a very selfish person.
Well, you must have been really, really hungry, okay? So how did it happen to be that you were going somewhere between 119.6 and 126.4 at the time of this collision?
I was speeding way too fast.
I know you were speeding. I know you were going twice
The speed
the
limit.
posted speed limit,
Yes,
okay? So I already know you were speeding.
yes.
So why did you do what you did?
In the moment, I thought it was fun, but it wasn't.
Who was in this other car that you were racing?
I have no idea who it was.
Then why were you doing it? Why in the world would you be en route to driving under suspension and then racing another car at 120 miles an hour. What possessed you to do that?
I honestly don't have a good answer for you.
Don't you think you better figure out what that answer is?
Yes.
So what have you done to figure out what that answer is?
Well, I've prohibited myself from making that same mistake in multiple ways. Speed limiter. And I feel like I have a better conscience now. I don't go behind the law or above the law. I've only, like I said in the past year, I've only drove. And I've just recently reinstated my license.
You have an offense of failure to control and failure to reinstate April 5th of 25. What's that all about?
Failure to control and reinstate.
Failure to control, failure to reinstate.
That was a car accident in the snow, and I did not pay my reinstatement fee, which is why it was under failure to reinstate. I just had to pay the fee.
Well, you did.
No, I didn't pay it on time, but I didn't know I had to pay the fee until I went to court, and that's when they told me that. That's why I was on failure to reinstate.
Failure to reinstate for what purpose? What did you have that you, what action happened that you had to reinstate?
So my suspension from Painesville Muni ended on March 23 of 2025. I thought I had my license after that suspension was up, but I didn't pay the reinstatement fee after that suspension was up.
Okay.
I wasn't aware that there was a reinstatement fee.
Well, whose responsibility is it to realize that?
Mine. I should have checked. But I just wasn't familiar with how that all works.
So why did you tell the police officer that you were driving 66 going down Route 2 and got hit from behind, which caused you to rear-end that car?
So I was scared in the moment of the truth and what trouble it would get me in.
You agreed at some point at the hospital to do a blood draw or a urine test, and then you said you wouldn't. Why was that?
I never disagreed to a urine test. I just disagreed to the blood test.
I know you disagreed to the blood test, and they said there's other ways, meaning a urine test, and then you agreed to it, and then you said you wouldn't do it.
I was never asked for a urine test.
Wood?
Thank you, Your Honor. This was a case where the defendant was driving on Route 2 and two independent witnesses, one driving on the complete opposite side of the road and one operating a motor vehicle, reported to the police that they observed the defendant's vehicle driving at a high rate of speed that appeared to be drag racing with a second vehicle that was not able to be identified by the police. They did check local flock cameras to try and locate the defendant's vehicle to see if he was driving in a companion manner with another vehicle, but they did not find the defendant's vehicle on flock to try and determine who and what second party was involved here. There was questions posed to the defendant about the status of his license. The status of his license was an important determination in how the charges were indicted. I did speak to a supervisor at the BMB to determine if he was driving under suspension at the time of the offense. My conversation with the BMB was that the defendant was failure to reinstate. He was not under suspension. He could have obtained a valid license had he taken the remedial steps, which would have required him to do a 8-hour driving course, show current proof of insurance.
Well, he said he was still under the Geauga suspension, or not.
No, sir.
I can't keep track. Yeah. You got so many of these things that I can't keep track of you. Go ahead.
I didn't speak to the BMB about the Geauga case, so I'm familiar with those details. Regardless, the defendant operated his vehicle at such a high rate of speed, he caused a crash with a vehicle that had two minors and two adults in the car that all did suffer serious physical harm. They were all transported to the hospital. The adult female victim eventually required surgery on her ankle. The two children did not require any surgery, but they had broken bones, and Mr. Davis also had a fractured sternum. The adult female victim also, according to her civil counsel, advised me that she was unable to work for a period of time. She suffered some economic harm due to her injuries, had to take out and borrow money to pay for her daily living expenses. The defendant committed this offense while he was under supervision to 2 different municipal courts here in Lake County. He has a history of traffic-related offenses, an underage alcohol offense as well, and there has been a rehabilitation failure. He has not responded favorably to previously imposed sanctions. So the state is recommending significant local jail time in this case to address the conduct and impose on the defendant the seriousness of the nature of his conduct in this offense. And there's also a mandatory driver's license suspension as well. Thank you.
Whose friend's house were you on your way to when this happened?
I was on my way home.
Well, you told the psychological evaluator, and I'm going to give you the quote, "I was on my way to a friend's house and I was going too fast."
Okay, I could have been thinking about the wrong. Yes, I was on my way to my friend Owen's house.
Who?
Owen.
Okay. I thought you were going to get food because you
No,
were
that was
hungry.
that was a different driving under suspension you had asked me about.
Did you have privileges to go to your friend's house?
No, sir.
Okay.
I was on failure to reinstate at the time of this accident when I was. I thought I had my full license, like I said.
All right, I reviewed the pre-sentence report and the psychological evaluation. Considered the other material. I have considered what counsel has said, what Mr. Kelly has said. I've considered all the provisions in 29, 20, and 11, 12, and 13. And you clearly strike me as somebody who's completely self-consumed without the realization, somehow, it escapes me how you could not realize that going 120 miles an hour down Route 2 at 10:30 at night was going to be anything other than a complete disaster. How you managed not to kill those people in that other car escapes me. And it doesn't seem like you were all that concerned about it on the night it happened either.
I was very concerned.
Because all you were doing was complaining about going 66 miles an hour and getting rear-ended, which caused you to go into the car. That was your concern. Your concern was yourself. That's what your concern was.
The verdict finally comes down. The judge calls him self-consumed, a man who never learned from his mistakes. How you didn't kill those people escapes me, he says. Then comes the sentence: 4 years of community control and 180 days in jail. Justice is served and mercy comes with conditions.
Your concern with your lousy driving habits appear to be to do what you want to do when you want to do it. Regulations and laws be damned. That's why I said 15 minutes ago, you appear to be a very selfish, self-consumed person. I've considered all the provisions in 29, 20, 11, 12, and 13. Joint recommendation of community control. I'm going to go along with that. I'm going to put you on community control for 4 years. You're going to serve 180 days in jail with credit for 2. The last 30 days, you're going to be in the jail treatment program. Complete it, follow all the recommendations. You're to have no drugs or alcohol, and you'll be screened. You're to attend at least 3 AA meetings a week and get a sponsor. You're going to obtain a mental health evaluation and follow all the recommendations. And you're going to obtain and maintain full employment and pay the costs and supervision fees. Anything else with regard to the terms, Ms. Wehagen?
No, Your Honor, thank you.
Do you understand the terms?
Yes, Your Honor.
If you don't comply with the terms, the state will file a motion to terminate your community control. And if I terminate it, then you'll go to prison for 36 months. You understand that?
Yes, Your Honor.
Right. I'm also going to suspend your driver's license for 5 years. Because you've clearly demonstrated that you cannot be trusted to drive and don't deserve to have a license.
Okay.
Is the driver's license suspended from today's date or?
Yes.
Okay. Nothing further.
Anything else, Mr. Lalo?
No, Your Honor.